This year, 2019, is the special 40th anniversary of the television series Worzel Gummidge, which starred the brilliant Jon Pertwee and Una Stubbs as Wurzel and Aunt Sally. And we are now at the filming location that they used 40 years ago for Ten-Acre Field, which is where most of the television show was filmed. So this is the entrance to Wurzel's Field, and it's quite an interesting experience going through here because there's a winding pathway, so you just follow the pathway and you have to fight your way through the branches a little bit. But believe me, it is totally and completely worth it, because it is an amazing sight. It's full of mystery. Ah, I hadn't spotted that. On this tree there is a photo, if I zoom in, of Jeremy Austin as John, Jon Pertwee as Worzel, and Charlotte Coleman as Sue. And that photo will have been taken here, of course. And then below that is the new Worzel Gummidge, which is Mackenzie Crook, and I believe that will be on our screens in December. So that's something to look forward to. And oh, the sun's not shining, that's a shame. But here is Ten-Acre Field. And I love how the fans have decorated this. So there's some wonderful artwork there with Charlotte Coleman as Sue, Jon Pertwee as Worzel, Jeremy Austin as John, and the wonderful Geoffrey Bayldon as the mysterious Crowman. And there's the sign for Ten-Acre Field. And I also love this as well, this hand-painted sign. Worzel Gummidge lived here 1979 to 1981. And there is the magnificent and beautiful field that they used for Worzel Gummidge. And it's just wonderful that it hasn't changed. You know, it's just the same. And one of the things that I always look out for when I'm watching Worzel Gummidge is this little bit of woodland here. So if you watch any of the scenes filmed here, you will spot this bit of woodland, this little bit of woodland in the distance. And that appears in, I think, the opening credits. And it also, I'm not sure, it probably features in the closing credits as well. And it's just something that I always look out for. As you can see, the field is full of wheat at the moment. And when I was here the other day, it looked absolutely stunning, because it was just glorious sunshine, and you know, it was absolutely beautiful with the golden wheat and the wind blowing. It's a beautiful place, but it is missing something, and that is a scarecrow. I really do think that it would look wonderful if there was a scarecrow here, for obvious reasons. And then over here, this tree here, this features in the episode The Return of Dafthead. So Wurzel makes a scarecrow called Dafthead, and there's an episode where he returns, and this tree features in the episode The Return of Dafthead. So there's a scene where John and Sue, the two kids, are on the fence, and Wurzel is hiding behind this tree. And John says, "You can come out now, Wurzel." And then Worzel Gummidge pops his head up in between these two branches. And then he sort of steps down and walks along here and goes into the field to get rid of his scarecrow Dafthead. But I'm pretty sure that when they filmed this, Jon Pertwee must have been perhaps standing on a box or something, because I stood behind this tree earlier and I'm not tall enough to poke my head in between there. So I'm pretty sure that when they filmed this, Jon Pertwee must have been standing on a box or something in order for him to pop his head up and say to the children, "Are you sure? Are you sure it's okay to come out?" So that's a interesting fact for you. And over here we have some Wurzel Gummidge memorabilia. Now, for those of you who didn't know, Worzel Gummidge started out as a novel by Barbara Euphan Todd, and it's a brilliant book. In fact, there's a few Worzel Gummidge books, but this is the first one, and it's quite different to the television series, but it's absolutely delightful and definitely worth a read. And of course here we have an old Worzel Gummidge annual with Jeremy Austin, Charlotte Coleman and Jon Pertwee. And the annuals are quite interesting, and there's sort of bits of like comic book artwork and things, and old photographs, and lots of bits and pieces, and info about the cast, and other content. Now I loved Jon Pertwee because he had such a wonderfully expressive face. I mean, just look at that. And whenever he sulked as well, that was always very funny. Worzel Gummidge and Aunt Sally sulking. And we have, and also for those of you who didn't know, Worzel Gummidge was once a musical. So this is the cast recording for Worzel Gummidge the musical, which was in London in 1981. And also on this CD there's some of the songs from the Christmas special, A Cup of Tea and a Slice of Cake. So there are some great songs on that CD, so I highly recommend it. And then of course we have another annual which has some more wonderful photographs in it. That's from the Christmas special, this. And the Crowman. And some more artwork and comic book style pages, and then a photo. Photos showing how Jon Pertwee transformed himself into Wurzel with the makeup and the corn eyebrows and things. It was a delightful series, it really was. And then this is a fantastic book. Absolutely anything and everything you want to know about Worzel Gummidge is in here. So this is the Worzel book by Stuart Manning, and it has information about every episode, including the series that was filmed in New Zealand. I think it was New Zealand or Australia. And it's just got some really fascinating information about Worzel Gummidge. And of course this is Wurzel's Washing Day was the first episode. And photographs are. Now that is a brilliant photograph of Norman Bird and Meg Jenkins as Mr. and Mrs. Braithwaite, and they were fantastic, just brilliant. And there's just some, and of course that photo was taken here. That photo was taken probably over there. And there's just lots of really interesting and fascinating information, not just about the television series of Worzel Gummidge, but also sort of how Worzel Gummidge started. So there's some information about Barbara Euphan Todd in here, and there's a photo of how Worzel Gummidge sort of started. So he was also on radio as well. So honestly, it's a fantastic book. So if you are a Worzel Gummidge fan and you want to know about the series, and it's just a wonderful piece to have. So I highly recommend the Worzel book. It's brilliant. So the evening sun's shining on the field now. It's wonderful to be here 40 years after it was filmed, and it's even more wonderful that it hasn't changed much at all. It's just, you know, wonderful, and I hope that it will always be like this. I hope it will. And I believe that these trees here are featured in the opening titles. So I think Jon Pertwee must have stood sort of somewhere, maybe around here, maybe a little bit sort of further down the field, but those trees were on one side and those trees were on the other side. I'm pretty sure that those are the ones from the opening titles. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%, but it's wonderful to be here. You know, it's just if you are a Worzel Gummidge fan, I highly recommend you make the journey to come here, because it's wonderful, and Hampshire is such a stunning place. And Worzel Gummidge was filmed in Romsey and Field and King's Sobon and other parts of Hampshire. But of course this is the main location. This is the most exciting one, definitely. So there we are. 10-Acre Field, 40 years later.